Leading off starts right now. Welcome in, Peanuts. Welcome in, Cracker Jacks. An hour later on the stream. Blasphemous. But we are here because that's what we do. Fantasy playoffs getting going. Most likely in a lot of your leagues. I am Chris Welsh. That is Andrew Seifter, and we are here to help you through all the happenings around baseball and your playoffs. Andrew, what's up, buddy?
Not much, man. I was just telling you before we hopped on, I dropped my daughter at first day of first grade today and learned that you out in Arizona start school way too early in the summer.
Yeah. They my kids are a month into school already. That's something I learned as well. Like everyone on the East Coast is like that I have friends with. They're posting pictures of kids going to school and stuff. So I know everybody is probably ramping themselves up. Been there, done that. I've already been there, done that. I'm a veteran now in the school time. I already got sick. I got sick last week because the kids are back in school as soon as you get sick. But I am feeling a bit better. I think I'm looking a little bit better. I'm feeling better, and I'm ready to talk with everybody because I have incredible news. The best news that I could think of, well, I could think of actually like a couple other things, but the best piece of baseball news I have for all of you. Corbin Carroll is being recalled today, and we are getting Corbin Carroll making his major league debut with the Diamondbacks tonight. And Andrew, I am dealing with an existential crisis. I am here in Arizona. I live here in Arizona. The game is in Arizona. I had 0.0% plans to go, and I know I should, but I don't know if I can or will. Corbin Carroll making his debut is a big deal as the number one prospect in baseball, Andrew. Let me get your first initial take, and I'm going to set up some stats for everybody on Corbin Carroll. But you see him hit the wire. You see him out there, maybe some type of availability, which might not be the case for a lot of leagues. What are you doing? Is there any excitement for you to run to the wire to pick up, I guess arguably the number one prospect in baseball?
I mean, there has to be, right? And you have to have a pretty good excuse if you're not going to go to that game, by the way. But yeah, I mean, this is a true 5-category potential stud, widely regarded as the number one fantasy prospect still in the minor leagues. He doesn't have a ton of minor league experience because, COVID wiped out the 2020 minor league season, and then he had shoulder surgery that basically wiped out most of his 2021 season. But he sure has looked the part this year. He's 22 years old, so he's a little more mature than some of these guys that rocket through the minors like that. And you just look at the production and across the board, it's really phenomenal. So, it's the usual caveats with these rookies. They've been very hit and miss the last couple of years. It could be he flames out, but the upside is incredibly high, and those are exactly the kind of players that you want in fantasy.
Corbin Carroll, so far this season in the minor leagues, which it's been AA, AAA, he was down here rehabbing for a tiny bit, 24 homers, 31 stolen bases, hitting .307 with a .425 OBP and over 1,000 OPS. The guy, 89 runs, 111 hits. He's a little bit smaller in stature, which gets people kind of worked up, but he's put up 24 homers. He's an incredible, just overall talent. I remember being at his debut out here in Arizona. He has the next gauge of speed, which is something people are going to have to come to terms with, and hopefully the Diamondbacks really give him the green light. But he also makes such great contact and is a very smart hitter. He's actually worked with, I've said this a lot of multiple different times on podcasts, he's worked with multiple players inside the organization. And I don't want to say like helping like change swings and stuff, but like he wants to help and coach and teach with these guys, and he works with guys, and he has helped some players. I don't need to get into the names of them, but he has worked on helping improve their swings, and people can't talk enough about what an incredible talent he is. And you can see it. I mean, even in his AAA numbers, they wavered down just a tiny bit. And, he left AA hitting .313. He was over 300 for the majority of the AAA stint. In 33 games, though, he ended up hitting .287. He had 7 homers and 11 stolen bases. He's not going to play center field, probably not going to start high in the lineup immediately off, but he is going to be an impact player. I think no reason to not play him, even though Jake McCarthy has been really incredible, by the way, early on in season. I did a guest appearance on the wire on Pitcher List, and I talked about him this weekend. Like, that's one of those guys, and the Diamondbacks are going to be faced with a situation of like, what do we do? How do we get guys out of the lineup? I think that situation is fed through the DH. think at the end of the day, you can maybe take Varsho out of the outfield a tiny bit, even though he's been good. Catch, you can make some adjustments. Maybe McCarthy even does that, or Carroll. They could just get Carroll's bat in there. But there was a couple questions in here. And let me see what you have to say, Andrew. DJ said, drop Whit Merrifield or O'Neill to activate Corbin Carroll. Because right before that, we out of nowhere, I thought we had, no, it was in response where Bob was just like, Merrifield has been garbage. There's a lot of Merrifield hate right now. Would you drop either of those two to activate Corbin Carroll?
Yeah, I probably would drop either of them to do it. I guess probably Merrifield first, just because he's older and he's just hasn't offered much all season. We've talked about O'Neill Cruz enough on this pod. I think it's always like you're hoping to catch lightning in a bottle with him, and you're just not catching it right now. So you might as well try. You have a better bet to catch lightning in a bottle, I think, with Corbin Carroll. So I do think with Carroll though, the strikeout rate was in the mid 20% in the minors, 22 to 25% range. So he may not hit for a huge average right off the get-go either, but I think it will be significantly better than O'Neill Cruz will.
Yeah, very, very true. We've talked a little bit about him here or there in the day. You know that. So Corbin Carroll, I'm very excited about it. I'll let you know. I don't know. I want to be there. It's such a trek to get down to Phoenix. I really think it would be amazing. My cohort Bogman was like, you should take my kid out there. Gah, we'll see.
Well, I totally agree with you about Jake McCarthy, by the way. He's been a really pleasant surprise, especially in leagues that value stolen bases. So they're going to have a little lineup shuffling to do there. We might see a situation, I know it's sacrilege, but you might see Carroll getting a day off once a week or something like that.
Oh, I don't think there would be any craziness that they don't play him every single day. I think he plays the majority while he's here. And I think they're going to just have to mess around with the DH spot. Maybe McCarthy, maybe it's Carroll and all of them just splitting between days off. Varsho obviously can do some catcher. They can give Kelly a little bit more time off if they want. I mean, they've got some flexibility in there. And the reason you bring him up is to give him at bats, but you would point out the minor league season is coming to a close and that, he wouldn't have been getting at bats for the final half. So even to it's not like they're bringing him up and then he doesn't play a whole bunch and, hey, they should have kept him down. No, the minor league season's ending. So you're going to lose those at bats anyways. It does put into question if he makes the Arizona Fall League at this point, but we will find out in making his major league debut today. I'm very, very excited to see it. We talked about this in the last episode, another little piece here, but Trevor Rogers is going to be activated on Wednesday and he's going to start against the Rays. He had a huge performance, but I did this really scary, spooky transitional thing, Andrew. If you didn't see it, I turned off my lights and flashlight and would you dare start Trevor Rogers after all of the terrifyingness he had in fantasy? So I'll just straight up ask you without the frills here. Are you going to start him? Are you comfortable with Trevor Rogers after, finding some confidence? He said he feels better, more confidence going down in AAA, finding some success, 12 strikeouts. Are you going to jump in or are you not having any of this?
Well, he was the leadoff name in my waiver wire column on Saturday. So I guess that would probably answer the question for you. Who's he lined up to face?
Ooh, good question.
The Rays. Yeah, I would do it. I would do it because here's the thing about Trevor Rogers, and I wrote about this over at FantasyPros, so you can check it out. As of June 15th of last year, he had a 187 ERA, a 102 WHIP, and a 10.5 K per nine, and looked like one of the best young pitchers in the game. And then, things just have really unraveled for him since then. Really two main culprits. One has been regular back issues that he's been having. And then he had some off the field family private issues that we don't know that much about. But those two things could also be related, by the way, because a lot of the times with back issues, if you're having emotional stress and personal issues, it can aggravate that or make it worse. So he sounds healthy now. He says his back feels the best that it ever has. And he completely dominated in that last start. In that last rehab start. So I know the stuff is still there. I know the ability is still there. If he's truly healthy and he's truly feeling emotionally healthy as well, I think he's still got a huge amount of upside. He just seems like the kind of pitcher that could just pick it right back up and be dominant. And, worst case scenario, you get torched once and then you say, okay, it's hands off now. But I'm feeling pretty optimistic at this particular moment in time.
That's why my back always hurts. You just uncovered why my back always hurts. So now I know. Anybody else, actually, speaking of, as far as waiver wire, a very, very important time. And I want to make sure we're giving some consideration on Mondays, a little bit more to pickups. You've got that article. Who else should we be looking at as far as waiver wire pickups on this Monday morning, assuming everyone still has the opportunity to make some changes?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm looking at in the column generally players who are under 50% rostered and focusing particularly on guys under 40% in Yahoo leagues. And right after Trevor Rogers, I mentioned Justin Steele. Now he did leave his last start with lower back tightness, so that's just something we need to get an update on. But it didn't sound serious, and I think this guy deserves his due. I mean, he's got a 3.18 ERA on the season that's backed up by his xERA and xFIP. 8 of his last 10 starts, he's given up either 0 or 1 earned run. So that's just a really impressive run. I think he's a guy you can plug right into your lineup. It's a good time in general for starting pitchers. You know, Drew Smiley has been on a nice run. Roansy Contreras is a pitcher I've always really been a big fan of, and he's pitching great right now. So he's a guy I would certainly look at. And then even Matt Manning. I mean, this guy, it's kind of been a delayed progression to get where people were hoping he would be. But he is there right now. I mean, over his, let me pull it up here. Over his last 4 starts, he's got a 180 ERA, 108 whip, and a 9.4 K per 9. So he's going strong and got that prospect pedigree as well.
Another guy that, I don't mean to like rehash it, but if you're looking for stolen bases and some overall production, McCarthy might be one of those guys. I was having that discussion, like I said, this weekend, where when there's overall players, and I think you covered some overall type of players, and then there are categorical players, and sometimes you're just trying to chase a specific category. McCarthy's one of those guys you could probably chase for stolen bases. There's a couple guys out there for homers. I love the overall of Steele if healthy. I think that's a great call, and that is very good stuff. Speaking of injuries, by the way, on the injury front, Justin Verlander was removed from Sunday's start against the Orioles due to right calf discomfort, and he's undergoing an MRI. He has an exam this morning on Monday on that injured right calf. So a lot of our fantasy teams are in the nether right now. We're a little bit terrified. I'm a little bit terrified. You and I were both like, you're like, well, I hope this is going to work out because this is going to be important for my fantasy team. Exactly. I'm 100% with you. And if it doesn't, Andrew, we're going to be praying Justin Steele is probably out on the wire right now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't really understate how valuable Justin Verlander has been. You know, Baseball Monster does they give numerical values to standard 5x5 value. His value comes in at 1.55, which is the 3rd highest number behind only Aaron Judge and Paul Goldschmidt. So far and away been the most valuable pitcher in all of fantasy baseball this season, and that's not a loss that you can really stomach as you head right into the stretch run of your fantasy season.
Yeah, I'd also say if we were putting together like a league winners, and I don't know if that's Wonky, you got to remind me, does anybody do that on Fantasy Pros? Because at the end of the year, I think it'd be fun to look at what did the best league winning roster look like. And by that, what I mean is the values that you got later that ended up being so big that, boom, there you go. Like Justin Verlander, getting him around 90 or 100 where you did in drafts, that's league winning. I don't know why I keep saying league. That's league winning type of stuff that you could put together, and losing him now would be absolutely killer and brutal. Mr. Buster just throwing in, I guess, as the show, we can literally just answer or we can answer questions about Corbin Carroll the entire show. Is it worth dropping either Ahmed Rosario or Jorge Mateo for Corbin Carroll? I'm going to side on the no. I don't think I could drop either one of those guys for Carroll right now. Could you?
I would have said yes on Jorge Mateo probably a few weeks ago, but he's just continued to be surprisingly valuable. So it's harder to say yes on him. Rosario's actually slowed down a little bit recently, but he still had a really solid season. So in a redraft league, I'm just not sure I'm there on those particular players.
Yeah. Some other injuries. Yordan Alvarez missed Sunday's game after receiving treatment on his left hand. Jorge Polanco was removed from Saturday's game with some knee soreness. He's expected to sit out a few more as they are managing the injury. Brandon Lau sat out Saturday and Sunday after being hit on the elbow by a pitch, so keep an eye on that one. Evan Longoria is considered day-to-day. Luis Robert was at a lineup over the weekend with a sore wrist. Boy, I don't know how we can expect more than 120 games from Luis Robert really ever in a season. He's not quite like Alberto Mondesi level, where it's like if we got 100, we would probably like jump up and down. But I don't know if we can go more than 120 or 130 on Robert anymore. And JP Crawford underwent an MRI that did not reveal any significant damage in his pectoral area. So a lot of injuries that you don't want to see right now.
Yeah, and I'm particularly concerned about that Yordan Alvarez hand injury because the thing is, his production has really fallen off a cliff for about a month now. And that kind of hand injuries really do sap players' power a lot of the time. And he's got one home run and three doubles total since July 30th. So that's really concerning. Whether he goes on the IL or not, it's hard to expect that we're going to see like vintage production from Yordan Alvarez over the final month of the season.
Very good point. Fun fact, I'm really glad that Wonky put this on here because I was going to, if not. A 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle card sold for $12.6 million on Saturday. This marked the most anyone has ever paid for any sports item, card, or memorabilia, topping the $7.25 million sale of the T206 Honus Wagner card that had sold earlier in the month. The Honus Wagner one has always kind of been seen as the holy grail of cards. But to think about this, it's not just the most expensive baseball, it's the most expensive sports item, card, or piece of memorabilia. Anything, home run balls, touchdowns, game-winning baskets, Michael Jordan, doesn't matter, any of it. It is a 1952 Mickey Mantle card, not autographed or anything like that. It's never just explode your brain when you think about it, Andrew. I collect cards. I collect a lot of that stuff. I can't even imagine.
Well, I have to say, I actually know someone who has that card. It's the rookie card, Mickey Mantle rookie, Topps rookie card. I know someone who has that. I've held that card in my hand before. Now, granted, I have not held a mint condition version of that card in my hand, but I have held that card in my hand. $12.6 million. That's insane. I feel like saying that topped the previous one is a little bit of an understatement when it topped it by $5 million. That's just totally insane to me. I mean, it's a piece of cardboard, right?
You should go make really good friends with that person, whoever has that card. Like really good friends.
Yeah, right.
Be like, yeah, I got a business idea for you.
The business idea is handed over to me, right?
Yeah, exactly. This day in baseball, 1971, Hank Aaron of the Atlanta Braves drove in his 100th run of the season, giving him the National League record of 11 seasons with 100 or more RBI. Hammer and Hank, always a good one. Now, this is an interesting trivia question because when we were talking about, getting back to Verlander, you're talking about Cy Young stuff. And Adam Wainwright has had a pretty phenomenal season. We would probably agree with that. He defies odds of age. But the question is, Adam Wainwright has finished second in the Cy Young voting twice. I don't know if he's quite second in this round. I think he might be like third. I think it's Corbin Burns and Alcantara in the NL. But he has finished in second place in the NL Cy Young twice. Which pitchers finished ahead of him? So he finished second. Which pitchers finished ahead of him winning the award? And I've got it now here. And interestingly enough, the last time he finished second in voting was in 2013. So that's how far back we go and how long he has spanned in baseball. Any guesses on the two pitchers that won the Cy Young ahead of him, Andrew?
Well, I was trying to think of the one that's even longer ago, and it's probably in the mid to late 2000s. So some names that were just coming to my mind, like Tim Lincecum. Did he ever win the Cy Young? It's got to be somebody that like has completely left my brain.
Yes, no, it is not him. That's good. I'm going to give everybody no, I'm not going to give the years quite yet. I'm not going to give the years quite yet. Though I will tell you, Wonky does have one of them. Clayton Kershaw is one of them from 2013. So that's the more recent one. Clayton Kershaw won it in 2013. Adam Wainwright finishing second. There's still one name that's out there. Ooh, Brandon Webb's a great guess, but it is not it. We'll come back, and then we'll see what you guys got on these. On the stat heroes, Manny Machado, 4 for 5, 2 homers, 4 RBI, 3 runs. Isak Paredes, 2 for 2 with 2 bombs, 3 RBIs, 3 runs. That's one of those midseason, I don't know, those midseason guys I felt really good about. I ranked him really aggressively, by the way, and he's just been quietly, his batting average just kind of stunk, but he just quietly gets you some numbies when you need him. Corey Seager had 2 homers, 2 for 4. Shohei Ohtani, 3 for 4 with a homer, 2 RBIs. Jake Cave had a bomb. Hunter Dozier, 4 for 6 with a couple stolen bases. Colton Wong, 3 for 5 with a homer over the weekend. David Peralta, get him in that 2-hole, 3 for 4, 2 RBIs, 2 runs. Michael Taylor, homer, 4 RBIs, and Mookie Betts had a homer with 2 RBIs. Also just had a phenomenal, I want to say it was a Friday game or Thursday game, I don't remember what it was, where he was just homer after production, left and right. He was really good. On the pitcher side, Herman Marquez went 7, struck out 5. Robbie Ray, 7, struck out 7. Dylan Cease, 8 with 8 strikeouts. Max Scherzer, 7 with 11. And Julio Urias, 6 with 7 strikeouts. All pitchers, one not like the other. Herman Marquez, Andrew. The rest, big strikeout pitchers. Marquez getting you just weirdly silent value. Anything on Marquez for you rest of season?
I mean, he's like one of these pitchers that I'm just always avoiding and always not understanding why other people keep buying into him. The Coors effect is just too big a hill to climb, in my opinion. So I've been out on him for 5 years running, I feel like, and I'm not about to change now.
Yeah, I mean, you just hope like John Gray. As soon as John Gray goes to the Rangers, we're like, hey, let's go.
Exactly.
We're back in, and if we could get that from him. So a lot of good guesses in here. Peavy, who was one of my favorite pitchers growing up. Chris Sale, Brandon Webb, Gagne. This is too old. Dwight Gooden's too old in here. Ben Sheets. That's actually a really good guess. None of them are correct. The correct answer to go with Clayton Kershaw in beating Adam Wainwright was Roy Halladay in 2010. Roy Halladay in 2010 and Clayton Kershaw beat Adam Wainwright. Both times he finished second in the Cy Young Award race. And I know he is kind of in that spot. Like I said, I don't believe he's quite second, but the trivia, they pop that up because, he's looming. He's right around that area. On the stat zeros for the weekend, hey, you just talked about him. Ahmed Rosario, 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. Makes it even more of a pertinent question. One of the big things really to think about, Andrew, and to continuously point out to everybody, is you do have to have a really, really quick memory. Like, you got to just let things go. You got to forget about the draft capital. Dropping Whit Merrifield for Corbin Carroll feels gross. It feels really gross and hard to manage. But this is what you've got to do this time of season. You got to forget about what you spent on players. You got to forget about that really great March that the guy had, but hasn't really been good all season. And what if? You got to forget about what ifs because you don't have time for it in the playoffs anymore. And that's why we say, hey, you can drop Whit for Corbin Carroll. I know it feels gross. Ahmed Rosario, I obviously had a nice preseason value on him, and he has kind of cooled a little bit. Even just getting reminded of an 0 for 4 strikeout weekend, it's probably not the worst thing in the world. Like,
yeah.
if you want to make that Carroll move after a really bad weekend, you kind of can, and don't really need to look back. That's the other thing I think we both maybe missed. I know I missed in saying that when that question was asked. It was Ahmed Rosario and who the hell was the other person? Jorge Mateo.
Jorge Mateo, yeah.
It's like, are you really going to have... Are you going to have buyer's remorse? Are you going to have huge buyer's remorse? I don't think so. Carroll's going to be out there. He's a stolen base option. There's probably not that much buyer's remorse.
Yeah, no, I actually would amend my answer too. I would drop Ahmed Rosario for Corbin Carroll just because, Jorge Mateo's actually been really good lately. He's hot right now, so I wouldn't drop him. But Ahmed Rosario has been slumping for the last month, and he doesn't really have that much upside anyway. He's just one of those like kind of steady Eddie performers. So yeah, you're not going to have buyer's remorse letting Ahmad Rosario go. I would make that move.
So we've amended that. Drop Rosario, go get up Carroll. Some other zeros. JD Davis, 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts. Aaron Judge, rare, 0 for 4, 3 Ks. Shea Langoliers, Ryan McMahon, both 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Dylan Carlson and Luke Williams on the 3 Ks. On the pitcher side, Koi Oihara, 3 1/3, 6 earned runs, 8 hits. Shamanaya gave up 6 earned runs. Boy, that's not been great. Jakob Junis, 4 1/3, 6 earned runs, only 2 Ks. Nick Pivetta, 5 earned runs. I saw Mike Mayer absolutely just losing it online about the Red Sox and Pivetta, and it's a continuous laugh. I think I've grown to really love Mayer's blow-ups about the Red Sox, even though I don't care about the Red Sox whatsoever. I really do love it. The home run contest, friends. So check this out. I have officially a new board up for you, and it looks like it is updated, unlike the sell job we had last Friday. And guys, we had some big changes, and we have a runaway starting on the home run contest. Look right there. D. Blum, 49 homers as he had Mike Trout yesterday. Go Cards has moved into second place with High Cubby 2016 with 46. We've got Cat Fox at 44. And as you can see, almost everybody on the board, 9 people with 40 or more homers. And that huge move by D Blum off of Trout. Trout did people really good yesterday. Actually, what is this? 7 of the top 8 had Trout all together. So unfortunately, you guys all picked the same. High Cubby had Vladdy, who did not hit a homer. And that is how that paired out. And the home run contest is getting very, very interesting. So keep getting your home run calls in on the Discord, and maybe you can make a late run. Maybe you can make a late run out of all of it. Friends, when you're making bets, the kings and queens use BetMGM. That's right. We are going with the red tiara today. Actually, it looks quite nice if I can get it sitting. I had it really sitting nice on the hat.
If you wore your hat forwards, it'd be better.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do the forward, and we'll do that, and there you go. You got a little bit of business there. Nope. All right. Well, we'll just do it. When you guys go and check out BetMGM, use the promo code leading off. Do that today, and you can get a risk-free $1,000 bet. We want you guys to go and check out our great sponsor, BetMGM, making all your props, all your normal wages for kings and queens, tiaras and crowns. We do it every day. I've got some bets for you, and I want to get to see what Andrew has to say about them. Of course, strikeouts and total bases. I've got the number 1 algorithm and the number 1 plus money. So over on the strikeouts, we've got Javier Assad, who is going up against Toronto for the Cubs, is only at 2.5 is the number, projected at a little over 4. It's minus 165, and this is over on DraftKings. So it's a very, very low number. Let's take that off. Very, very low number for Javier Assad. The plus money strikeout play is Dylan Bundy, who's going up against the Boston Red Sox. He only needs 4 strikeouts. They are putting up 3.5 at plus 123. He is projected at 4, so the projections are not crazy high, but it's some good plus money against Boston, who can get a little strikeouty, and that is over at Sugar House. Probably going to be similar on some other sites. The total base props we've got for you, the number 1 of the day is Nolan Gorman. It is minus 170, though, so juiced, but you only need 1 total base against Cincinnati, and that's over on DraftKings. To pair with the top plus money play of Anthony Rizzo against the Angels, you do need 2 total bases, but it's plus 125, and he is projected at 2. So, Andrew, you've got Rizzo and Bundy at plus money. You've got Gorman and Assad at minus money. What do you like out of these bad boys?
Well, I'm going to rule out Dylan Bundy pretty quickly. I think he's got 3 strikeouts in his last 3 starts combined. So I'm gonna pass on that one. I also just generally like to pass on Dylan Bundy whenever given the opportunity. Gonna also pass on Nolan Gorman. That strikeout rate of his is so high that offers are very common with him. So I can't, even in a pretty favorable matchup, I don't think I can buy that one. So it's really down to Assad or Rizzo for me. With Assad, the question is really is he on some sort of pitch count? I mean, he pitched 4 innings in his first appearance. So he had a decent K per 9 strikeout rate in the minors. So it seems like he could crush that number if he can get enough innings. That's really the question. With Rizzo, he's facing a lefty, but he does have 9 homers and 113 at bats against lefties this year. So, but that's a high number, 1.5 for him. So I'm going to have faith that Assad will at least throw 5 innings. And I think if he does, he'll hit that mark.
I like it. Good call. If I were going out of these, I'd probably go with the Rizzo one. Good plus money. 2 total bases. That's probably my play. I wouldn't play even the Nolan Gorman one. That's not the type of hitter I want a juiced 1 total base call from, even though I like the matchup. The Bundy one, I actually don't mind. Maybe I'd even play the 2 plus money plays more than the big old juice plays. Those are not the players I'm really caring about. Over on the DFS side, DraftKings, Miles Michaelis, 8-4, Tony Gonsolin 9-6, Jose Barrios 7-6, and Corbin Burns 10-4 are some of the numbers for you. If you wanted to play big money, you could go maybe Burns and Barrios just to pair. I kind of like the Gonsolin and Michaelis play if you're looking to save some money. Over on FanDuel, Michaelis is at an even 10, Gonsolin 10-5, Barrios 8-5, and Corbin Burns 11-1. And as far as stacks go, you've got St. Louis, Toronto, and Philly, the only teams today projected over 5 total team runs if you're wanting to stack some of those players up together. Now let's make some home run calls. Andrew, you are on the clock. Who is your home run call for today getting on the board?
Well, first off, all those people with 40 plus homers, it feels like we're back in the steroid era or something. But I will point out, I called Paul Goldschmidt last Thursday and he hit 2 bombs, not 1, 2. So gonna do a little victory lap there. And I am going to actually just stick with the Cardinals. I'll go with Nolan Arenado. He's facing Chase Anderson, really favorable matchup, and he's got 4 homers in 30 plate appearances in his career against Chase Anderson. So Nolan Arenado is going to go yard.
Well, I'll try to do this for Wax in his very English-sounding sentence of, or maybe he even gets the call in a week. I think referring to me not getting a home run call. I like that you spelled even with an A, if that is what you were saying. So let's point that out, Wax, when you want to call me out on that. Let's hope I get a home run call, but I'm going to go way out in the wings, and I'm going to go with Christian Walker. I'm going to go with Christian Walker in Arizona, big home run hitter. Give me Christian Walker. Almost went Nolan Arenado. We've got Mayer with Shohei Ohtani, Tyler O'Neill going to Wonky. So let's see if we can get some home run calls, and maybe we can even with a EVAN get a home run call today, and we can all cheer for joy. Andrew Seifter, what's going on with you going on down this week?
So I'm going to have some new rest of season fantasy baseball rankings up at rosrankings.com. Those should go live tonight. We'll be doing a podcast as well with my co-host Bart Wheeler, rest of season rankings podcast, talking about what we call the movers and shakers, the players moving up and down the most in our rest of season rankings. And of course, I'm continuing to churn out those waiver wire articles that we were talking about earlier over at FantasyPros every Saturday. So give those a read.
I really like that. Everyone should go check out that waiver wire article. Getting in front of it, sometimes the most important battle. You guys know your league's the best, though. Are you the guy that's able to get ahead of everybody? Do you need to be hyper competitive with a couple guys? Do you need to stay up till midnight to get those waiver claims? Those are the days. Those are the days if you need to wait up till midnight and do it. Andrew's got you covered. You can follow me on Twitter at @IsItTheWelsh. I don't know. We might be there. There's no guarantees, a lot going on, but I'm going to attempt to see if I can get down to see Corbin Carroll's Major League debut tonight against the Phillies with the Diamondbacks. It would be, I love the guy. That's like my guy, number 1 prospect in baseball. But friends, that is all that we have for you. Make sure you tune in tomorrow right here on Leading Off. For Andrew, I am Welsh. Thank you guys. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Same time, same new time.